Hello, and welcome to Soloq Secrets, a series where I go over the newest Soloq and competitive trends to help you get an advantage in your games. In this episode, we're going over Unsealed Spellbook strategies for top laners, the ideal users of the rune, and finally, its uses in the mid lane. Firstly, some general stats for Spellbook. It reduces summoner cooldowns by 25% and is normally taken with the minor rune Cosmic Insight, which means 30% total cooldown reduction. This gives Flash a 210 second cooldown, Teleport a 210 second cooldown also, and Ignite a 147 second cooldown. When used, you get a spell charge at 2 minutes, and then every 6 minutes after, you get another one. It's used late game to shift to more combat related summoners for large team fights. So, up to the top lane. Currently, Spellbook is used to give top laners a very early game advantage. The top laners take Flash and Ignite in Champion Select to give them high kill pressure early game, as well as improve their chances of winning a jungle top 2v2. This gives lane pressure through just having the Ignite, meaning the enemy laner must play safer due to the damage advantage the summoning gives, as must the enemy jungler, as a counter gank would likely lead to a quick game through top lane being snowballed. This provides safety for the top laner as they are less likely to get into an unwanted 1v1 or 2v2 fight than if they did not have the Ignite. Ignite is then exchanged to Teleport on the first back, meaning they can teleport back to lane to catch the wave and get the gold as well as the XP, as long as the Ignite has not been used. Throughout the lane, the Spellbook user will have a 90 second advantage on TP cooldown, meaning it is easier to get an advantage through macro plays, such as teleporting into a dragon fight or a bot lane tower dive before the enemy top laner has their TP available. This continues into the late game and is likely to be relevant in LCS, as shown by one of the recent EU LCS games, Unicorns of Love vs Giants. Giants top laner Riven takes Exhaust plus Flash for the safety early from ganks and exchanges to Exhaust to Teleport on his first back to look for a play somewhere else on the map. Expect to see this all over EU LCS and the rest of the leagues during this patch. A further advantage to taking the Inspiration Tree is the Stopwatch minor rune. Riven can be seen in this clip using it to its full effect to escape a gank with a kill, and there is no doubt it has the ability to save your life at least once during a solo queue game. The final top lane Spellbook usage I have seen in solo queue has been Smite plus Flash top laners, as used by Misfits Alphari in their first game of the season versus G2. It was used to give a good leash for max slot on red buff and then generally in lane to just secure CS. However, in solo queue this is much more likely to be used to gain a level 2 advantage for the top laner by solo taking a camp. Ideally this will be an enemy buff or another enemy camp, but if those are properly guarded against level 1 it may end up being one of their own team's small camps. For example, red side top laner stealing enemy blue buff level 1 and then walking to top lane. One case I also saw was a top laner taking Smite and building a jungle item. However, I don't think this is likely to become meta, as the only useful one would be Tracker's Knife for warding after Smite is exchanged, and the other jungle items are not currently overpowered enough to warrant them being used in lane. Linking this to Spellbook usage in mid lane, the rune provides the ability to improvise and change summoners as needed for the current game. For example, in another recent EU LCS game, H2K vs Vitality, Suzuki on Ryze starts Ignite for early lane and gank kill pressure, exchanges to TP during an early back, and uses that to coordinate a top lane dive due to the ward place down by Jarvan. This gives the team an early first blood and starts the Jace plus Ryze snowball, ending in a Vitality victory.
Ryze is here as well. A lot of damage onto Gilius. He's going to start to take the tower. Good damage. First blood. 3 to 17, closing it out with a 10k goal.
Finally, important Spellbook champions. This rune can be seen to be very relevant on multiple champions, especially those without other strong viable rune choices. Here are some good examples. Riven, probably the most common Spellbook user currently due to her relying heavily on Flash to enter and start fights in the late game, and having a much reduced cooldown on it can be game deciding in some situations. With a very strong level 2 cheese and level 6 all in with ultimate, Riven can look to use the Ignite to get an early kill, then exchange it to TP to keep up the lane pressure. Vlad, another common user due to his lack of other possible rune choices, with Spellbook currently being the most used. During fights, Vlad also relies heavily on his Flash due to his lacking mobility, even building Hextech Proto Build to increase it. Spellbook allows more Flash Hemoplague opportunities with backline access. Kennen uses the rune for many of the same reasons as Vlad, such as more Flash plus ultimate opportunities, and also finds an early stopwatch really useful for fighting gauges. Ryze uses this rune for Teleport, Ignite, and Ghost flexibility. Few of the other runes, except for possibly Phase Rush, fit the champion. Ryze also very much likes the rest of the Inspiration Tree due to Stopwatch and Cosmic Insight being very effective for his safety and damage. Malzahar uses it for the exact same purpose, flexibility, and the inspiration tree. Many other champions can use the rune, and I believe it will become more commonplace in both LCS and solo queue. We are now still only at the start of innovation and meta creation, so only time will tell how this rune evolves. This has been Solo Queue Secrets. I hope this video prevents you from being killed by a level 2 Ignite Riven, and I wish you luck in solo queue.